What's up guys, I'm Cubicabra, and today I'm going to bring you a tutorial for all of the Beech fundamentals tricks on Kendamanomics. I'm currently in 21st place on the leaderboard, so I'm going to show you all of the tips that I use to do these tricks, and I hope to see you all make your way up the leaderboards as well. Little thing I forgot about post-recording that I want to let you guys know about for Kendamanomics: unless a trick specifically says no spike, you have to finish it with a spike. I will bring this up later on for a few specific tricks, but if I say something like base cup and then spike, the trick is most likely just going to say base cup on the app. With all that being said, let's jump right into it. Alright, so this first section of tricks is the ones I highly recommend you guys start with, because it's just going to be landing different kinds of cup tricks and you don't even have to worry about spiking it. So getting right into it, our first trick is big cup, which looks like this. Now for a proper big cup, the first thing you want to do is make sure you're in Ken grip. Ken grip is just like this, you just have it normally, holding it all straight up, all nice like that. Now the next thing you want to do is just get your tama, set it down there, and make sure that it's as straight and as steady as possible. Steady it with your other hand like this. Having it straight and super steady will make it easier to do the pull-up. Now for the pull-up, you're going to bend your knees, you're going to go up with it and move your arm upwards to pull up with it, just like this. You're going to take your Ken, move it right below the ball, it's going to land on there, and you're going to bend down with your knees and cushion it. So all those steps together, you bend down, pull up, move it below, and cushion. So one more time, but actually all together, bend down, below, cushion. Next trick we want to talk about is a Sara grip base cup with no spike. So Sara grip is where you're going to be holding it like this, in this sort of pencil-like grip right here. You can also, the way I like to do it, is this same grip, but you're going to take these fingers, your middle ring and pinky, just kind of move them comfortably below the small cup, just like this. Remember, this one's a base cup, so again, steady your ball, make sure it's all straight, and follow that same process with the big cup. You're gonna pull up, move the Ken below the ball, and then cushion with your legs, so just like this. Last trick we're gonna do, that's just the solo cup on its own, is called Candlestick. Candlestick looks like this, and it's gonna follow all the same tips I showed before, just another new grip. So candle grip is when you're just gonna be holding the spike, just like this. Make sure that your fingers are as high up on the spike as you can. This will let you have the most grip and have the most control over everything. And again, just follow all the steps as before. Make sure you have your ball as steady as possible. Pull up, move it below, and cushion. Once you have landing a single cup down, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start moving to landing multiple cups in a row. So first one we're gonna do is big cup, small cup, just like that. So you start doing it just as normal, your same tip I showed with big cup, bend down, move up, and cushion with that. And now what we're gonna do is, if you notice, if you just bend down and go back up, I didn't even move my arm really there, but the ball hovered off of the Ken. So we're gonna use that idea where if we just bend down and go back up, the ball will go in the air. When the ball's in the air, we're gonna tilt our hand the other way, thus moving the Ken, and then it's gonna be, the ball's gonna be over a different cup. So once the ball's over that different cup, it's gonna land on there and we could cushion it just like before. So all together, we're gonna do a big cup first, pull up, cushion, and then we're gonna bend down using that force, move our hand, and cushion again. Next trick we're gonna talk about is big cup, small cup, base cup. Now the first thing I want you to do when practicing this trick is just do a normal base cup. Before, we were in Sara grip with our base cups, we were holding it like this. But now we're in Ken grip this time. So a base cup is gonna be in this wonky grip like this. So to make sure you get into this grip properly, you're just holding it normal Ken grip, and we're gonna tilt our hand outwards like this. This is the grip that we wanna have our base cup in. So what we're gonna do is just pretty much the same thing as we've been doing. We pull up just like that, but in the air, that's when we're gonna tilt our hand in this way, move the Ken below the ball again, and then cushion just like normal. So just practicing the base cup would look like this. Once you're comfortable landing the base cup in that position, it's just a matter of combining everything together. So you bend down, pull up, and cushion your big cup, bend down, and then move your hand in the air, cushion the small cup, and this time we're gonna do the same thing, but go all the way to base cup. So bend down, go up, turn your hand, and cushion once more. Once you're comfortable with all those tricks, we're gonna start moving to where we're actually spiking stuff. So the first thing I wanna teach you is just how to do a normal spin spike, which looks like this. So for a spin spike, we're gonna hold it in Ken grip again, and we're gonna just take the ball, move our hand this way, and pull it back as hard as you can. And you can see it spinning now, but you see how the light blue is what the top of my tama is? You're gonna notice that it's not exactly a straight spin. That light blue is all around. So we're gonna take our finger and pinch our string, run it down the string like this. This will make sure that the tama is spinning as perfectly straight as possible. And the reason we're doing this is it makes this bottom hole perfectly face the bottom, and that will actually make it a lot easier to spike. So what we want to do, we're going to send that spin, straighten the spin by running our finger down the string. We're going to do a pull up, and just like any other cup trick, we're going to move the Ken right below the ball. Just this time the spike is facing upwards, and it's going to land on there. You can help push it with you if you want, and we're all good. So all together, send the spin. You're going to run your finger down to make sure it's straight. Pull up, move it below, and cushion. Okay, now we're gonna start doing cup tricks, but we spike them after. So the first one we're gonna start with is a big cup spike. Now what I taught you before was to make sure your tama is as steady as possible. Do a super straight pull up to big cup, and then you're done there. However, now that we're gonna start spiking it, this is not necessarily the best thing to do. The reason is, sure, you could have it be a perfect pull up, and that would make the spike hole on the bottom. And if it's on the bottom, you can just kind of drop down and land it like that. But even if you're trying to be have a straight pull up, it's not necessarily always gonna be straight. Sometimes you pull up and you can see that it's gonna be tilted slightly down this way, and it could be any which way. The tama hole could be anywhere. So because of that, what we're gonna wanna do is pull up strategically so the spike hole is in a nice position. This can be done with a swinging motion. So to do that, we're gonna have it Ken grip still. We're gonna take our ball and hold it behind us like this, and at the same time, our Ken is gonna be pulled up forward like this. We're gonna let go of the ball, and it's gonna swing like that. When the ball is a bit more forward right here, we're gonna pull back on the Ken. The ball will swing towards us, and then we can just land it like normal. You're gonna make sure that your Ken is right below the ball, and you cushion it, bending your knees down. Putting that all together like this, hold it backwards, send the swing, pull up, and cushion. When you're just starting out with this, you don't have to really worry about where the tama control is. Just practice getting a swing to big cup, because that part's hard enough on its own to start with. Once your swing to big cup is pretty good, what I want you to do is notice where the tama hole is typically landing. If your tama hole is landing anywhere so that you could see it, like anywhere in this direction, like this, if it's landing like that, then it's good. Now, if your tama hole was saying landing where you can't see it, where it's on the bottom, or if it's any which way like this is not exactly what you want. So if your tama tends to end up in a bad position, just mess around with how much you pull back on the swing, and eventually you'll figure out how to get it in this nice position like this. Once you consistently have your tama in a good position, what you want to do is just send it slightly upwards. We're going to move our hand upwards like this, move our Ken backwards, and it could just go right on the spike. So it's in a good position, move our hand slightly upwards, and land it on the spike like that. Once you put it all together, it'll look like this. We're going to do the swing and the catch. It's in a pretty good position because I could see the tama hole. Move our hand slightly forward, and then spike it. Next up on the trick list is going to be a base cup spike. Base cup spike's gonna be the same exact thing as big cup spike. We're gonna do that same swinging motion. It's just you're gonna have to tilt your hand all the way over for that Ken grip base cup that we've done before. And then it's the same motion of just moving your hand upwards. So putting all that together, we do the swing, move it below the cup, and catch. We can see the tama, so it's pretty good. So just move our hand slightly forward and land it on the spike. We're gonna be putting everything together now with a trick called a round Japan, which means big cup, small cup, spike. Now, for this trick, we want to start with the swing to big cup, and you'll see why in a minute. So do your swing to big cup, and we could see the tama hole is facing us. That's really good. And just like with a normal big cup to small cup, if you bend down and just move back up, the tama doesn't actually move very much, so that's good. So we're gonna bend down, move our hand to land it on small cup, just like that. And now from here, it's just the same exact thing as big cup. We're gonna move our hand slightly forward and catch it on the spike. So one more time, putting it all together, you do the swing to big cup so that you could see the tama hole. Bend down, don't toss it upwards, just use that motion from your knees to move it upwards and tilt your hand. You can still see the small cup. We just send it onto the spike like that. This time it really combines everything I've shown you so far, called Around the World, which is big cup, small cup, base cup, spike. Now, you'll notice it's actually very similar to everything, so we're just gonna go the same process. Swing to big cup so that we could see the tama hole. Do that bending down your legs thing. Move your hand in the air so you could still see the tama hole on small cup. And we'll do it one more time, but we're gonna move to Ken grip base cup. So again, bend down, move your hand in the air, catch it on base cup, and then it's just a base cup spike as we've done before. So we're gonna bend down, move our hand slightly forward, land it on the spike. These last three tricks are some of the hardest spike tricks on here, but I know you can do it. The first one is gonna be a no spin spike. So as we did with an original, just base cup, big cup, small cup, everything, we're gonna make sure the tama is as steady as possible. And right here, doing a super straight pull-up is critical. If we do our pull-up and it's not straight at all in any way, the tama hole will not be on the bottom, and your spike's just gonna land on the side of the ball. It's all gonna not work. So make sure you bend down, do as straight of a pull-up as possible, move your ken below the tama, land it on the spike and help cushion it. Putting it all together, it will look like this. Next trick on here is the last version of spike I'm gonna show you right now, which is called a swing spike. So before, we did a swing to big cup, and we caught it like that, and we caught it a little bit early so we could see the spike. A swing spike is doing the same thing. We're gonna let the tama go all the way around and land it on the spike right there. So it's gonna look like this. So just do the same exact motion as swing to big cup, just put a little bit more power into it so it goes all the way around, and make sure to catch it with the spike pointing up so you can land the spike. One more time, it will look like this. Last trick from this section is Earthturn, so you can pull up to spike, however spike you want, and an Earthturn looks like this. It's basically just a spike flip. So to do an Earthturn, what we're gonna do is we're gonna lean our ken to be facing away from us. Once it's leaning away from us, we're gonna pull it really fast back towards us, like this. At the same time, we're also gonna move our hand a little bit upwards. This will make sure that the tama has enough room to go into the air, but it also has enough force to go all the way around. Once the tama's in the air like that, all you have to do is track the tama hole on the top as it comes around, move your spike right below it, and catch it on there. So altogether, it looks like this. Now the difficulty is gonna rise with these next few tricks, but they're a lot more fun, so I'm gonna really recommend you do these ones. All of these tricks involve tama grip, which is where you're actually gonna be holding the ball instead of holding the ken. And for most of these tricks, what I want you to do is hold it so the tama hole is facing upwards. So our first trick is gonna be airplane, which is basically just a reverse spike, and it looks like this. So you notice an airplane is actually a lot like a swing spike. We're gonna hold our ken this time instead of the tama back behind us like this, with our tama up in front. We're gonna send our ken forward, and right when it's about right here, we're gonna pull back with our tama. We're gonna pull up, we're gonna land it in this hole. Now with your first airplane, you're gonna really have to play with how much force you pull with the tama, because if you just do a little bit of force, it won't go up very much. If you do a lot of force, you'll end up doing multiple turns in your airplane, which that's a bit advanced for now. Just play around with the force until it comes around with that perfect half turn. Another important thing that you don't have to worry about too much now, but if you want to get a head start, hold your ken originally so that your small cup is facing towards you, and you actually send a little twist when you send it forward, and you pull up when the small cup is facing away from you. So if you'll notice right here, small cup is here, facing towards me, and I send it, small cup's facing away from me, that's when I would pull up. So all of that together right now, the small cup's facing towards me, do the twist, now that it's away from me, I pull up and land it. Again, don't get discouraged with these new tama tricks. These are a lot harder, but they're a lot more fun. I know you can do it. The next trick is called Lighthouse, which is one of the most difficult beginner tricks. Lighthouse looks like this. So basically, we're just landing a base cup, but we're actually holding the ball, so we have to balance the ken on the tama. To start with a Lighthouse, I recommend just placing it on there and learning how that new balance kind of feeling works. Move your hand around a little bit, because you're not necessarily gonna land it perfectly on there each time. It might be sliding around. So just move your hand, get used to moving around with the Lighthouse itself. Once you're ready to pull up the Lighthouse, and I'm gonna show this in the forward-facing view, notice that when we're just resting, the ken is actually not fully straight. It's tilted at an angle like this. Because of that, if we were to pull straight up, it's gonna land at an angle. So like if I was to land it right here, it would land sideways, and that's no good. So when we do our pull up, we're gonna tilt slightly opposite of the direction of the angle. So because right now the angle is like this, I'm gonna pull up this way, just slightly. Mostly an upward pull up, so it will go upward, but slightly this way so that it turns to be straight. Once we do that pull up technique, and once the ken is at a decent spot in the air, fully straight, we're just gonna do it like any other cup trick. Move the ball beneath the ken, land it on there, and while you do wanna cushion with your knees a little bit, also put a lot of focus into moving your hand around to keep it straight. You want to be as steady as possible, but flow with the ken to make sure that it will eventually balance out. So all together again with this, we could see that my ken is slightly tilted this way. So I'm going to do a slight pull up this way, just like this. Line it on there, balance it out. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, if it doesn't specifically say no spike on the trick list, they want you to spike it. So to go in from a Lighthouse, we're just going to send move our hand slightly forward, just like we did with a normal cup to spike. And we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer because the Ken's bigger. It's gonna take longer to go in, but it will eventually turn around. You're gonna move your hand to right where the airplane, like the spike is. You're gonna land it in. So all together, we have my Ken's angled this way. So I'm gonna pull up the other way slightly, land it and cushion it, and then move my hand forward to land it in the airplane. Next trick is airplane, jumping stick. Now first off, of course, you wanna make sure you have your airplanes down before you move on to this trick. And for jumping stick, it's pretty much the same thing as an Earthturn, just we're doing it with atomic grip now. So we're gonna move our hand backwards like this. We're gonna send it slightly upwards while moving our hand back forward. Just practice sending the flip at first so you get a good sense of how much force you need to throw it with to get it to come all the way around without going too much. So a little bit too little force would be like this. If you were to throw it too hard, you're gonna send a lot more flips than you want to. So just practice with that amount of force. You're gonna send it, you're gonna track the spike this time, and then land it back in there. All together one more time. Airplane, jumping stick. Now the last of the Tama tricks is called Stunt Plane, and it looks like this. So if you notice, this trick you're basically stabbing the Ken with a Tama hole. So what you wanna do first is I like to hold it upside down from our normal Tama grip. We want the big spike hole facing the bottom. And notice the small Ken hole at top. I'm gonna put my index finger right on top of that because that will let me know exactly where the spike hole is. The spike hole is completely opposite of the small hole at top at all times. So if my index finger is right here, I know the spike hole is directly below it. So with that in mind, essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a straight pull up and then try to stab where my index finger is right onto the spike and then go down with it. Make sure to go all the way down because if you just go down slightly, it's most likely just gonna slide right out. So all together, make sure your index finger is on the top hole, pull up, and stab down. Just looks like this. All right, these last few tricks don't exactly have a nice category to place them into, so I'm just gonna show you the rest of them now. They're a bit more on the difficult side compared to everything else, but they're also some of the most fun, so let's jump right into it. The first one is Big Cup, knee bounce back to Big Cup, spike. Now to start this one, we want to do a swing Big Cup. This will make it so we have the best chance at having good Tama control after the knee bounce. For the knee bounce itself, what you want to do, make sure don't actually bounce it on your knee because all the bone in your knee, it's just going to hurt like heck and it's not going to go well. What you want to do instead is actually bounce it in the middle of your thigh around this area. This will make it hurt much less and will actually bounce upwards so you could back and land it again. So once you have it in Big Cup, you're going to toss it upwards, kick it with the center of your thigh right here, and then it's gonna be back up in the air, and then just like any other catch, move the Ken below the Tama, cushion it, and go down. Now from Big Cup, it looks like this. Toss, bounce, and back. Now if you were to land it a little bit too far left or right on your thigh, it's gonna go way far to the left or way far to the right. Most of the time you won't be able to save that, but just be prepared just in case, and move along with the Tama depending on where it goes. So if I was to toss it, went this way, I could go over and catch and maybe be able to land it. However, you always want to try your best to land it near the center so it will just have a straight pop upwards. Once you catch it back up on the Big Cup, there are two things that could happen. The first thing is you have it in a nice spot, just like you can see the Tama hole right here like I showed you before, and in that situation, you just move your hand upward and pop on the spike. However, because of how uncontrollable it could be, the bounce from your leg, it could be in a really wonky spot, just like right now, I have it way facing to the right. So if you didn't have the best Tama control and it's pointing to the side, like how mine's facing to the right, what we want to do is make it so it's on the same axis as we are facing. What that means is currently it's facing to the right. An axis that I'm facing is going to be looking like this. So this is my facing axis and this is the pointing axis. Those aren't the same. So what I'm going to do is just tilt my hand so the Tama hole is facing the same axis as mine. Remember, the Tama hole is right here. And from there, I'm just going to do that same hand motion upwards onto spike. Because it's so far away this time, it's not just right in front of me to land it nicely. You're going to have to do a bit more of a toss, a little bit more pressure in that throw. But if you do it right, it should go on there just fine. So altogether, it looks like this. Swing, bounce, and catch. And then I got lucky with my toss, so I can spike it. The next trick is Kenflip Big Cup, and then spike, which looks like this. Now before we start doing the whole pull-up Ken flip and landing it, I just want to show you how a normal Ken flip works. So this is a normal Ken grip, and we're just going to slide our fingers down like this. So our pinky's doing nothing, these two fingers and our thumb are holding just the edge of the kendama between these two stall points right here. And then our index finger is just kind of up top, not also really doing anything. Now for Ken flip, what you're going to do is you're going to let go with these three fingers on the bottom, and then you're going to push down with your thumb like this. So first, just mess around and play with that so you feel how that Kenflip motion works. You don't have to actually worry about catching it yet, but once you're actually getting it, sending some decent amount of flips, what you can do is try and catch it. Try this a few times and make sure you're actually catching it in a good grip. You don't want to catch it, like do a half flip and catch it all wonky like this. Make sure you always have proper form and you're catching it with the big cup facing up, both in the start and after the catch. Now that you have that motion figured out, we're gonna mess around with actually pulling up the tama at the same time. So if you were to just send your normal Kenflip, it would probably look something like this. I was able to do the Kenflip there, but the tama did not come up nowhere near into where that area I need it to be, the proper height to land it on there. So because of that, we're gonna have to send our Kenflip a little bit faster. Sending it faster means sending it with more force, and the tama will actually be able to come up this high. Only problem with that is if you try and catch it at the same amount of time, you end up doing multiple flips. So while that is a trick you could work up to, what you wanna do is just work on getting a faster single Kenflip at the same time. So start just getting the faster Kenflip, so a single flip motion, and making sure the tama comes up to a proper height. So just send it a few reps like this. Once you have that kind of motion down, it's just like a normal big cup. You do the Kenflip, the tama's in the air, you can move the Ken right below the tama, land it there, and cushion. Putting all that together, it's just like this. As for spiking this, just like with the knee bounce, the tama can be in any kind of position at all. Just like with the knee bounce, the tama control can be really anywhere, not necessarily in a good spot. So we're just gonna do the same thing. Find where the hole is, align it so it's facing the same axis as us, and then send it with a little more force for the spike. One last time, everything put together looks like this. Lastly is one of my favorite tricks on this list is bird, which looks like this. Now for a bird, what I want you to do is just set it on there at first. Get used to how this feels. If you notice, when I'm holding this, I'm not actually holding it so the Ken is straight up, because if you put the tama on there, it might stay, but it's really easy to just fall off just like that. So we're gonna be holding it slightly tilted backwards. So the tama is resting both on the rim of the cup and on the spike. 2 points of contact right there. Once you get that feeling down of the bird, what I want you to do is actually practice the pull-up. So do it just like a no-spin spike, steady the tama as much as you possibly can, and do a straight pull-up. The only difference is we're actually gonna meet the tama at its highest point with the Ken. So we're gonna meet it right up there, and then once you have that contact, that's when you're gonna cushion it. And be prepared, because it's a balance trick, you have to be a little more relaxed and be prepared to move along with the tama if it's sliding around. Putting that all together, it'll look like this. As for the spike at the end, there's two ways to do it. First way you could do it is just drop down with it. However, that's not always the most consistent option. So what I prefer to do is just send a full earth turn just like we've been doing. So just send your hand forward, eye the tama hole, and land it on the spike. So one last time, landing it and spiking it, looks like that. And that should be your first 20 points on Kendamanomics. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. If you guys have any ideas for how I can improve these tutorials in the future to make things easier and more well explained for you guys, please let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you all on the leaderboard soon. Catch you in the next one.